Okay, guys, good morning. Welcome back. Today we're going to do the revision session. So, what I need you to do is for you to open your VLE, virtual learning environment. You look at the right at the bottom, okay, right at the end, you will see the revision session, and you can click to the PowerPoint slide. Right? Can you switch on to your VLE and go to the slide for our revision? Can you guys go to your VLE, go at the right to the end. There will be slide on revision, AP revision. Did you find it? Jumpa tak?
AP summary ke sir?
AP summary, yes. Jumpa ke? Semua dah dapat? Before proceed?
Dah.
Jumpa.
Alright, cool. Okay, now. So today I'm going to do the summary, and also we're going to do revision for your final exam. I believe that you have received the final exam schedule, correct? Yeah. So based on the schedule, you can starting your strategy for your final exam. Right. Now for advertising promotion strategy, before I go to the revision, based on your presentation, okay, based on your presentation, I would like to talk a little bit about presentation in general. So when you do your presentation, okay, uh, presentation is something about it's just like when you are trying to sell something. Okay, you try to sell something. It's like advertising as well. It's about communicating to your audience. Okay, it's about knowing who is your audience. Okay. So it's more or less or more of the same with your advertising and promotion, because presentation is about knowing who is your audience, means your target market, communicating your messages, meaning just like you are advertising your product or service or ideas. So in presentation is about promoting your ideas, okay, to the target market. So when I talk about target market, it's about knowing who is your audience, and you mold your message based on the audience. Now, if you look at the slide, okay, at the slide for this revision, okay, you look at the exposition, okay, you look at the graph. Um, when I see most of the presentation by students, not only for this class, for other classes as well, over the years, I realized that, or I noted that the presentation is like monotonous, means it's one tone. Okay, one tone is um, it's like monotonous. Okay, monotonous is you can't you when you present, it's like telling a story. So when you are telling me or telling the audience the story, it cannot be monotonous. Okay, it cannot. It's not like, for example, you're talking to your friend or you're talking to someone, for example. Um, let's go eat dinner. Okay, jom makan. Awak tak kata, uh, Amiluddin, mari kita makan malam. Nak tak? you don't say that is boring. The tone is monotonous. Okay, it's like a dead people talking. So the intonation need to be lively. The intonation is as if like you're talking to someone. Alright, you compare that. Jom makan with mari kita makan malam nak tak? So that is the difference. Okay, so uh, if you hear your voice, if you hear your tone, you will able to detect how boring is the tone. Okay, then if you yourself think that the tone is boring, then imagine the audience that need to hear your presentation. So when you present or when you do a report, okay, the slide that I show you, okay, in the VLE, it can be used for your presentation and for your report as well. Okay, for example, when you started a report, okay, when you started a report, you need to start with the exposition. Okay, what is exposition? So that you can see the explanation, a brief explanation there. The exposition means setting up the scene of the story, the background, and the characters. Meaning you give the audience who read your report um, the background of your story. So if you're doing a research, you're presenting a research, or you're reporting a research, you need to give the background, the story, the backstory of of your research, and the background of the characters. Okay, when you're telling a story for a film, for example, the characters. So how does it relate to research? For example, the characters here can be a person, can be a product. For example, like when you reporting or presenting about your traditional product, like dodol, for example. Okay, so that dodol is the character. So what is the background of the dodol? So, and what is the character of the owner of the dodol? Okay, the character of the owner. So exposition means you giving the audience, the reader of your report, of the backstory, of the background of the characters. So when you do a film, for example, background of the characters, of the who is the heroines, who is the hero, who's the villain, who's the supporting actor, supporting actress. And for research, it's the same. Characters can be the product of your research, or the issue of your research is also a character. Okay, so it's the same principle when you're telling a story. Then of course you have the rising action. Okay, the conflict and event that build the story. So here can be the issue. Why it is so important? Okay, mean you incite the incident, something that happened to begin the action. Means if you look at the diagram, okay, you look at the figure here. First, you start with the exposition. You give the reader the background of the report, the background of the presentation. Then you incite the incident. What happened? What triggers you to do the research? Why it is so important? You try to build up the suspense. Okay, when this is the same. For example, if you after this lecture or after this session, you go and watch movie, you can see the same. You can see the same, what they call this, the same pattern. Okay, first you have the background, then something happened. Something happened means the conflict. Okay, the conflict. Or why the audience need to be kneel to their seat and watch your movie and watch your presentation and keep on reading your report. There must be something. Okay, the something, an event which triggers the conflict. So in your report, for academic report, what is the incident that triggers the report? Well, why are you going to why are you embarking on the report? Don't tell me, okay, don't put it in your report. The inciting incident or what triggers the report is you need to submit your report because of the requirement. So that one is boring. Okay, that one is what they call this is so lame. Okay, meaning it shows the audience who read your report that okay, he just do this for the sake of doing this. Okay, he just do this report for the sake of doing a report. Why? Because it is required of him or her to do the report. When I talk about inciting incidents here, I'm talking about why should the reader of your report keep on reading your report? Why are you embarking on those research? These are the things that you need to put in your report. These are the things that you need to tell the audience of your presentation. Why the audience supposed to spend few more minutes to listen to you? Why the audience should spend a few minutes to read your report? Those are the things that you need to remember. Okay, what is the incident, and then what is the action? Okay, rising action means the conflicts and event that build the story. If you watch movies, for example, this is the same. Okay, the same. What are the suspense? What are the things that that keep the audience nailed to the seat? Macam hero macam heroine kena tangkap, for example. Hero nak pergi selamatkan. Those are the actions. Okay, in movies, for example. And then this is the thing, the same principle that you can use for your report, the same principle you can use for your presentation. The complications, the conflict. Okay, the conflict in your research, the conflict of your issues. And then you achieve the climax. Means there's a battle between good and evil, for example. The climax, the final battle. If you watch war movies, for example. Okay, and then the same thing with your report. What is the climax of your report? After you build up the suspense, the reader wanted to read more of your report, then what is the climax? And then after the climax, of course, it's a reversal, meaning the falling action. What is the falling action? The action that happened as a result of the climax. Okay, meaning now everything settled already. Meaning this falling action in your report is after you make the finding, after you resolve the conflict, then what is the aftermath? What is the result of your conflict? And here is the what they call this in the report, maybe is about what have you learned from your research. What have you learned from the result? Meaning you do your research, okay, then you do your survey, for example, and then you from that survey it resulted in datas. Okay, in datas you got a lot of data. So the falling action would be what are the things that you can learn from the data, meaning giving meaning to the data, giving meaning to the numbers. Okay, and then lastly, the denouement means the end of action, and then you conclude. Okay, you conclude. In movies, for example, the prince and the princess live happily ever after. That is the the end of the story. So the same thing with your report, the same thing with your presentation. What is the ending? What is your conclusion after all your journeys? Okay, the journeys of your research. So what is the end? What is the conclusion? The closure of the story. So that's why in every classes, okay, I always stresses the that when you talk, okay, when you're giving a report, when you give presentation, it's about telling stories. Okay, the same thing about A&P. It's about communicating. It's about telling stories to your target market, telling the narrative. What is your narrative to your consumer? What your target market? The narrative or the story about your product. That's why when I look into your presentation, for example, I asked you to come up with advertisement, a short television advertisement about the product. I always ask, so what you're trying to tell the consumer in your ads? What is your narrative? What is the story? What is the story that you wanted to tell the consumer? Okay, so the same thing. Okay, the same thing. When you're telling the story, you try to what is your narrative to the consumer, so the consumer can understand your message. Is different from a lecture. Okay, a lecture. I can't do this. Why? Because in lecture, okay, when you present, you don't use the concept of lecturing. Why? Because a lecture within 3 hours, I need to cover all the things that I need to tell you. All the information. I need to give you the information about the syllabus. I need to cover everything. So, and syllabus do not have this exposition. It has exposition, but it don't have climax. You know that. Okay, because a lecture is very hard for you to give this climax, you know that, because everything is important. Okay, I need to cover everything or most of the thing or most of the syllabus or most of the topic and subtopic within 3 hours. Okay, so sometimes lectures doesn't use this kind of pattern, so it's kind of boring. So lecture is kind of boring. So when you present, okay, you only have like 10 minutes, 50 minutes, or the most is 20 minutes. So how can you tell something which is within that limited of time, 20 minutes, for example, or 10 minutes? How can you give everything within 10 minutes? And even worse for advertisement, for example, like television advertisement or YouTube advertisement, whereby you need to give information to the consumer within seconds, 35 seconds, 20 seconds, the most. Okay, how can you give that message to the consumer within 20 seconds? That even worse. So you need to be creative. Okay, when you're presenting to your audience, you may have 10 minutes, but when you do the advertisement, you may have less than 1 minute. You may have 20 seconds. So how can you craft an advertisement to give message to your consumer within 20-second advertisement? So you need to be concise, you need to be straight to the point, you need to be effective within that 20 seconds. Okay, but then that advertisement, then presentation to your client. Okay, you have like less than 20 minutes, maybe 10 minutes or 5 minutes. So how can you be effective? These are the things that you can use, okay, in the future. Let's say after this you have other subject that you need to present, you can use this. Go straight to the point. Okay, go straight to the point. Or if you wanted to use this graph, then be very concise and be very creative. Do not use monotonous tone. Okay, because I think you understand when you talk to your friend, for example. Okay, you try to use the tone that you presented to your lecturer. Then your friend will ask you, what's wrong with you? Are you sick? So that is the one of the thing that I realize, some mistake or some weaknesses in students presentation. Okay, so when you present, you need to have that, people can see your passion. People can see that you're putting your effort based on your facial expression, based on your tone, your voice. Okay, people can see whether are you into it, or are you just you, by the tone. Okay, by the tone of your voice or your facial expression, people can tell that, okay, this guy may rather be somewhere else rather than be here and talking to me. They're not interested in giving this presentation. So if you as a presenter, you're not interested of giving that presentation, and people can see that from your facial expression and from your tone, of your voice. People can see that you're not interested, then the audience will ask themselves, why should I be interested in what you're trying to say? Why should I listen to you when you yourself are not interested to be here? People can tell that from your facial expression. People can tell that from your tone, your tone of your voice. And that is something which you need to be very careful when you present. Okay, apart from the slides. Okay, slides is another important thing. Some presenter, they have done away with slide altogether. Why? Because slides very, what do you call this, very um distractful. It distract people from the presentation, distract people from the presenter. Why? Because the center of the attention is you as the presenter. Even if you wanted to use slide, the slide is only meant for uh, supplement. It meant for an aid, with something which is help people to better understand. And slide is not the attention. Okay, if people are looking at your slide and not looking at you, and then you are in trouble. Why? Because you're not interesting enough that people need to waste their time reading your slide. They rather look at the slide rather looking at you, and then you are in trouble. Why? Because the center of the attention is you, not the slide. Okay, the slide is just at the background. The slide is just fortifying what you're trying to say. So when you come up with slide, don't put in a wordy. You transform or you transfer the whole of your report into your slide, word by word. So if that's the case, then I would suggest that you just show your slide and you just keep quiet. You just say, okay, this is my slide. Just read it. Just read from the slide. And after you finish with the slide, tell me, I go to the next slide. That even better. Okay. So that should not be happening. Okay. You supposed to present. That's what we call presentation. You need to have that showmanship. You need to present yourself. You need to present your ideas. Okay, so if you look at this diagram, you can use this, okay, this diagram as a guide for your report and also for your presentation. Okay. Okay, any questions about this slide? Ada soalan tak? Ada? Tak ada? Alright. Ada ke ni? Any one of you yang rumah dia banjir? Tak ada? Yang mendengar lecture ini daripada atas bumbung disebabkan rumah banjir? Ada tak? Ada ke?
Tak ke?
Semua okey ya? Rumah tak ada kena banjir? Okay, cool. Nasib baik. Now, okay, go to the next slide. Okay, go to the next slide. Now, I wanted to talk about your A&P, advertising and promotion strategy. Right. Now, communication, okay, A&P, okay, A&P or advertising and promotion, it involves communication. Again, I talk about communication. So when you talk about communication, it's a communication between one human being to another human being. Okay, meaning a communication between one person to another person. So it involves transmitting, means when I talk to you right now, I am transmitting a message. Then when you hear my voice, when you hear my message, you receive my message. Okay, so communication involves transmitting, meaning I'm talking to you, I'm transmitting the message to you. And when you receive, when you hear the message, meaning you are receiving the message. And then you processing the information. And it's supposed to be you're talking back to me. And that is communication. Okay, if I'm the one who talks, I transmit, you receive, then you process the information inside your brain, but you don't reply to me. And that is not a communication. It is a lecture. Okay, communication means two ways. Okay, so it's a two-way traffic. Meaning I talk to you, I send the message to you, you receive the message, you compute or you process the information, you process the message that I transmit to you. Then after you process, then you talk back to me, meaning you reply to me, maybe about what you think about that message, and that is communication. So communication is about two-way traffic. So it's about one person talking to another person, and that the other person talk back to the transmitter or the one who talk first. So that is communication. So why this communication is important in NMP? Okay. Why? Because if you look at the next slide, okay, why communication is important? Why? Because communication constitutes the essence of any advertising or marketing program. Again, I can't stress this enough that E&P or advertising and promotion, especially us as a marketer. Okay, we are in marketing field, marketing discipline. All of you are marketing student. Marketing is about communicating. Okay, marketing is about communicating. That's why the graphs of language, whatever language, okay, it's not only English. It can be Malays. Okay, penguasaan bahasa tu. How you master your language. How do you use language to your advantage? Why? Because you need to communicate. It can be English, can be Malay, can be Mandarin, can be Hindi. All right, why? Because it's not only English. Because when you wanted to market your product, you wanted to market your service, you wanted to market your ideas, you need to market those product, service, and ideas to the target market. You need to communicate to the target market. Okay, you need to communicate to the target market. So the medium, the language medium used by that target market is very important. If you are targeting Malay communities, for example, then you need to use Malay, of course, Malay language. But if you're targeting the community which is multilingual, so it can be English, it can be Malay, can be in Hindi, can be in Mandarin. So the graphs, the penguasaan, okay, how do you master that language in communicating to your target market is very important. So that's why you need to master your language. Okay, you need to master your language. If you think that your master of language, the level of your language is not that good, and then you need to enhance, okay, that your grasp of language, whatever language it is. Okay, it can be English, can be Malay, can be Mandarin, can be French, can be Hindi, you know that, yeah. So these are the thing. That's why in this subject, okay, of course you need to we need to the language medium is English. Okay, that based on the why? Because in Malaysia you either you need to be multilingual. Okay, you need to be able to speak Malay very good. You need to speak very you have to master your English, all right? Why? Because most of the requirement you need to be able to speak in English, and if you master in Mandarin and Hindi or Tamil is even better. Okay, why? Because Malaysia is very multilingual. Okay, that's why I think apart from English and Malay, you are being taught Mandarin. Okay, why? Because this language is very important. Okay, because if you don't master your language, okay, you do not have a very you're not very skillful in language. You unable to communicate with your target market. Why? Because marketing is about communication. If you can't communicate, then it's very hard for you to market your product. It's very hard for you to talk to your target market. You need to talk. You need to be able to communicate. Okay, so communication is very important. All right, so these are the things. So apart from, okay, my advice to you is, apart from this technical subjects, okay, if you wanted to be better, okay, if you wanted to be valued by your future employer, by your uh, future client, if you have your own business, you need to have this extra skill, language skill, communication skill, you know that. Um, right. Any question? Ada soalan? Ada soalan on the communication? Tak ada? Sure? Ada soalan? Guys? Soalan? This is like the last class of the semester. Masih lagi tak ada soalan? Alright. Cool. Now, um, why communication is important? Okay, if you look at the next slide, okay, if you look at the slide, the objective, okay, the objective is to cut through the clutter. And that's why you need to be able to communicate very well to your consumer. Why? Because the objective is to cut through the clutter. So what is the clutter? Clutter means, um, for example, like if you look at the at your surrounding, for example, there are a lot of things that demand your attention. There's a lot of advertisement which try to get your attention. These are clutters. These are noises. Uh, for example, this morning I looked into the YouTube, for example. Okay, there's before I can get to the actual video that I want to watch, there are like 2 or 3 advertisement, and I forgot most of them. I forgot most of the advertisement before my videos, my actual videos. Why? Because these are clutters. These are noise. These are something I don't switch on, or I don't click into the YouTube to watch advertisement. But the advertisement was forced to me. Okay, it says that advertisement, my video will play after the advertisement. So I do something else. All right, before while waiting for my videos. So these are clutters. These are noises. And then how do you grab? Okay, when you have a client like me, when you have the consumer like me who are ignoring advertisement, what do you do? And these are the things as marketer we need to take care. This is something that we need to take note. How do we grab that attention? How do we cut through the clutter? What makes our advertisement unique compared to the rest, compared to the competitors? And these are the things that we need to take note. These are the things that we need to take into account. All right. So you look at your television ads for your presentation, and then you ask yourself, honestly, is my advertisement able to cut through the clutter? Is my advertisement able to grab the attention of the consumer? If I use this advertisement to promote my product, will it get any traction? Will it get any attraction? Will it get any attention from the consumer? And then if you ask this question to yourself and you answer that question honestly, and then you able to improve. Okay, something which you may not get right. You may not get right at the first instant. You may not get it right at the first attempt. Something which you need to do again and again. You need to do a lot of advertisement. You need to do a lot of writings. You need to do a lot of reports. You need to do a lot of presentations. Refine your skill. Okay, so I'm not going to be so worried about your your level right now. Okay, your level of presentation, your level of report, the level of your advertisement that you produce right now. Why? Because this is all learning process. Even I still learning about the art of presentation. Even I still learning about the art of writing a report, writing a journal, writing a paper. Even I don't get it perfect. I'm still refining the art. Um, for example, I send my paper for publication. Okay, and I just got an email yesterday rejecting. Okay, rejecting my paper. One of the reason is the discussion is not in depth enough. Even I get that kind of remarks. Okay, so all of us, okay, all of us is, we need to keep on writing, we need to keep on presenting, we need keep on practicing, okay, what we need to do. Okay, that's how we learn. Okay, that's how we perfect. Of course, we won't get the perfect. Um, Perfection is something which is impossible. Okay, nothing perfect in this world, but to get it right as much as possible. Okay, keep on writing, keep on presenting, keep on doing what we do. Okay, and then we learn from that. Okay, right. So the objective is to cut through the clutter. Okay, that is the objective of advertisement. Okay, what we have learned in this semester, we have learned on a few weeks on cutting through the clutter. Meaning, we learn about techniques of advertisement, messages, creative messages that may be able to cut through the clutter. I'm not saying that whatever we have learned in this subject will definitely cut through the clutter. What I'm saying is these are the techniques that can be used to cut the clutter. It may be effective, it may not be effective. And it is effective, then why? If it is not effective, and you need to ask yourself why. There's a lot of variable, there's a lot of factors which influence the successful or unsuccessful advertisement. Okay, there's a lot of factors. Sometimes you do everything right. You check all the checklists. Everything's there. But yet your advertisement is not that successful. Why? Maybe sometimes about the time. The time may not be right enough for you to, for the consumer to understand or to accept your message. So there's a lot of factors. Yeah, there's a lot of factors. But what we have learned in this subject is the techniques that you can use in your advertisement. What you can use in your promotions. The techniques. Okay, you need to the basics, the basic techniques that you can use. So your job after this is to refine those techniques, to combine those techniques together to come up with the new techniques. Those are the things that you need to do yourself. You need to learn the basic. Um, you need to learn the basic rules, and then maybe in future when you master all the basics, then you can come up with your own technique. Those are the those are my hopes, my intentions, okay, to you, for you to learn the basic and then you come up with your own technique. You may combine one or two techniques, or you come up with a total new techniques. I always tell my student, break the rules. um, Rules here not saying that melanggar peraturan jalan raya, for example. That's stupidity. Rules here I'm talking about, um, you need to go against the norms. Okay. What I've learned, what I've taught you for this semester is the norms, the basic techniques. Hopefully, okay, in future you're able to master the basic technique, and then you break the rules. You come up with your own rules. Okay, you change the rule to your advantage, but you can't change something which you do not know at the first place. Meaning, you need to know about the basic. You need to know the whatever is the basic technique. Then you come up with your own technique. You improvise. Those are that is my hope. Okay, for you to do in the future. Right, you become better than me. All right, the next generation should be better than the previous generation. If the next generation is lousier than the previous generation, is something wrong. That's not progress. You supposed to be better than me. You supposed to be what do you call this? You must be brilliant than me. Okay, you must be better than me. I'm not saying that I'm better than you. You supposed to be better than me. Okay, in future if you do something great, then I know that you are successful, right? All right, now why this clutter exists? Clutter exists because when consumers are exposed to hundreds of marketing messages per day, and most are tuned out, like my example just now. I was exposed to the advertisement in the YouTube, and most of the time I tune out. The moment I saw that there is an advertisement, then I automatically tune out. Tune out means I may saw the advertisement, but it doesn't touch me in any manner. It doesn't affect me emotionally. I look at it and just like when I look into the camera right now, tak ada perasaan, no feelings. Okay, there's no effects. That's meaning tune out. For example, like right now, when I ask you question, no questions, no response. And that's one of the example of tune out. Means tak ada perasaan, tak ada effect. Macam itulah lebih kurang. That's clutter. Okay, why clutter exists? Because there's a lot of or hundreds or millions of advertisement. The consumer is exposed to millions of advertisement a day, and then because of that volume of advertisement that we are exposed to, we are mostly tuned out to the advertisement. Dah jadi lali, dah macam immune kepada advertisement. Bagilah advertisement apa pun, we do not have that effect to us. That is clutter. Okay, now any questions about clutter? Tak ada.
Tak ada saya.
Okay, tak ada. Alright, now what is IMC? Okay, Integrated Marketing Communication. So in A&P, Advertising and Promotion Strategy, the center, okay, the center of the discussion is about how do you integrate all this marketing channel into one marketing campaign. So IMC about the coordination and integration of all marketing communication tools, avenues, and sources in a company into a seamless marketing program. If you look at the first limb of the sentence, it's about coordination and integration. Okay, you need to integrate, for example, social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Then how do you integrate that with traditional media, for example, like your advertisement in the television, your advertisement in the radios, your bunting, your brochures. Then how do you coordinate all this into one? Okay, you need to integrate social media and traditional media. And how do you coordinate this into one marketing program? And this marketing program need to be seamless. This coordination need to be seamless. Need to be joint, but in your television ad you say something else. I remember in one of the group, for example, I asked this question. Okay, this question. Why are you in your report you are saying something? You're saying that you are targeting what they call this from age 18 to for example from Gen Z to baby boomers, but your advertisement is featuring youngsters, for example. Okay, so there's no coordination here. There's no integration. You're seeing something else, but you're seeing something else. Your objective is something else, but your advertisement is saying something else. And that is of the one of the example of disjointed messages. Okay, even in your advertisement itself, like you have multiple messages, berbagai-bagai message yang diberikan kepada pengguna. Multiple messages given to the consumers, and consumer become confused. So when people become confused, then you cannot communicate your message to the consumer. First, you have a problem of clutter. Consumer being exposed or being bombarded with thousands of advertisement, then become tuned out or tuned off. Then when they actually looking at your advertisement, then you're giving a multiple messages. You confuse the consumer. So it's a double jeopardy. You've been double bomb. Sudah jatuh di tipe tangga. Maksudnya dahlah consumer to put off with the advertisement, but bila tengok dekat awak punya advertisement, dia macam confused. Dia double jeopardy. Sudah jatuh di tipe tangga. Lagilah dia tak berminat untuk membeli barangan awak. So that is what I'm trying to say. So this IMC, you need to integrate all this into one. You need to integrate social media, the new media and the old media together. Okay, together. Then you need to coordinate that. To coordinate your advertisement in your new media and old media together, and this coordination need to be seamless. You need to say the same voice. You need to say the same message. Okay, maksudnya whatever you say in the social media, it need to be the same as your in the old media. Okay? One message. You cannot give like multiple messages. People get confused. One message in multiple front. One message in multiple medias. All right. Okay, that is IMC. Okay, that's an IMC. Now, if you look at the next slide. Okay, next slide. Marketing plan. Okay, marketing plan. Student usually ask me, Sharin, I need to do, for example, this report on advertisement. Okay, for example, for this assignment. Should I use this SWOT analysis? Should I talk about the target market? Should I talk about the marketing strategies? Yes, you need. Okay, yes, you are. Okay, yes, you are. Why? Because even at the simplest task of coming up with a 20 to 35 seconds of television ad, you need to answer all this. You need to answer what is the current situational analysis. You need to be able to do your SWOT analysis. You need to be able to come up with the marketing objective. Why? Because why do you crafted that advertisement in the first place? Why are you crafted that advertisement like that? Why do you use Gen Y or Gen Z actors or actresses in your advertisement? Why do you use that colors? Why do you use that language in your advertisement? Those are the considerations that you need to ask yourself. Then that question will be answered by this. What is the current situational analysis? For example, like your advertisement on the traditional business. So when you come up with the advertisement, so you need to be able to answer before you do that advertisement, what is the current situation analysis for that product? You must be able to answer what is the SWOT analysis of that product. You must be able to answer what is the objective of your marketing. What is the objective of your advertisement? And then you must be able to talk about or to able to answer the question about your target market. What worries me, okay, most of the group, when I ask about the target market, your target market is like every Tom, Dick, and Harry, every person under this sun. Your target market is like from 18 to eternity until 80 and all that. That is not a target market. That doesn't fall under the definition of target market. Well, because if you target everyone, then you will reach no one. Okay, you need to have a specific target. Who's your target market, for example? Are you targeting Gen Y? Based on, let's say you're targeting based on demographic, age. Gen Y, Gen Z, baby boomers, Gen X. That if your target market based on demographic of age. But if you're targeting based on interest, for example, that based on psychographic, based on the lifestyle, that is that would be any age, can be from any geographical location, can be from any religion, can be any race, but you're targeting people who share the same lifestyle. That is by way of psychographic. Okay, so your target market, for example, like I give you one example, like Red Bull, for example. Red Bull doesn't target any age. Dia tak target Gen Y, dia tak target Gen X, dia tak target baby boomers. But they're targeting based on psychographic, which is the lifestyle, extreme sport. Okay, that is lifestyle. So those who are involved in extreme sport can be from any age. Can be from your age, can be from my age, can be from baby boomers. But we share the same lifestyle, which we engage in extreme sport. I can be in KL, you can be in JB, you can be in Gambang, okay, Pahang, you can be in Nigeria, you can be in the UK, you can be in Philippines, different locations, but all of these people share the same lifestyle. And that is based on psychographic. Okay, so your target market need to be very specific. Okay, you cannot target everyone. Okay, you can target everyone. So that is something which you need to be able to tell. You need to target marketing is very important. Who is your target market? Who is your people who are going to buy your product? And those are the things you need to be able to answer. And then your marketing strategies, your positioning, differentiation, and branding strategies. This is also a question that you need to answer before you come up with your the advertisement for your assignment, for example. Your marketing tactics, day by day activities necessary to support that marketing strategies. Then how do you go to implement this? Then how do you evaluate your performance? So when you do a report for a simple task about advertisement, that 30 to 40-second advertisement, if you ask me a question whether you need to talk about your SWOT analysis, then that is your answer. Yes, you need to answer this. This is something that you need to put in your report. Do I need to identify who's my target market? Yes, you are. You need. Whether I need to come up with the implementation strategy, yes, you need to tell that in your report, because that is your marketing plan. Okay, marketing plan is not just about uh, the question is not about you need to market a product, for example. It can be for a simplest task of coming up with a simple 30 to 40 second of television advertisement. You need to answer all this. These are need to be considered before you come up with that advertisement. So if this need to be considered, so this need to be in your report. Okay, so we have done this. Okay, marketing plan, we have done this, and I quite surprised when I receive questions whether whether you need to answer this question, whether you need to put this in your report. All right, so this is something that you need to take note. Right, now next slide. So this basically a summary. Okay, this the next slide talks about the summary what we have learned in IMC. So you need to be able to look at this subject from the bird eye view. Okay, from the distance. You look at the forest before you look at the trees. Okay, so you can connect what you have learned in this semester. So IMC, then you need to look at the buyer behavior. Okay, we have talked about the buyer behavior. Why buyer behavior is very important? Because you wanted to segmentize your buyer. You wanted to segmentize your consumer. Because you cannot segmentize your consumer without knowing the behavior, without knowing the behavior of your buyer. Where do this buyer come from? Where do the buyer get their product? Where is the buyer always hang out? Why? Because you wanted to target those consumer. You wanted to segmentize them. For example, if the consumer always hang out in let's say in food store or in kopitiam, then you go and you need to communicate, or you put in brochures in kopitiam. If you know that the behavior of the consumer always trying to get or always getting information from the internet, then that will influence your decision in giving or advertising your product or service or ideas in the internet. If you know that most of your consumer in the Instagram, so you advertise your product in the Instagram. If most of your buyer are in TikTok, then you advertise your product in TikTok. For example, another example, if you're targeting rural Malay communities, for example, baby boomers, Malay, rural areas. So you may wanted to put in your advertisement in, for example, in Utusan Melayu, or in Berita Harian, or in Metro, or Metro is maybe in urban areas. So you don't put your advertisement in the Instagram. Why? Because you're targeting baby boomers or Gen X and above, Gen X and baby boomers in rural areas. Malay, Gen X or baby boomers in rural areas. So most probably Instagram may not be a good medium. Most probably TikTok may not be the good medium. But the best medium may be advertisement in the Utusan Melayu or Utusan Malaysia or in Berita Harian or public relations, okay, or charities, for example, whereby you go to the communities. So social media may not be a good medium. So that's why you need to be able to know, to identify your behavior, buyer behavior. Why? Because you wanted to segmentize your consumer. You wanted to segmentize your buyer. Who are the most people who going to buy your product? Most probably going to buy your product. Okay, so you need to understand that their behavior. Kat mana diorang ni duduk? Diorang ni duduk kat mana? Kat mana diorang ni selalu dapatkan maklumat? Kat mana diorang hang out? Kat mana diorang beli produk selalunya? For example, kalau dekat rural areas, maybe they're not buying through Lazada. Maybe they are buying from the supermarket. So you use it will influence your decision to sell your product through Speed 99, for example, or local sundry shop, local kedai runcit. That is your decision. Why? Because it resonates with your market segmentation. But if your market segmentation living in the urban areas, in Kuala Lumpur, in Penang, in Johor Bahru, in Kuantan, which is accessible, so maybe you wanted to channel your product, you wanted to sell your product through Lazada, through Shopee, whereby it easier for people to get information from the internet and just buy the product through online. Okay, why? Because those people are living in urban areas like Kuala Lumpur, for example. So that will influence, okay, your decision on your marketing channel, your sales channel, and all that. Okay, but first you need to know who is your buyer. Okay, and then again, you look at from market segmentation, you will see database marketing. Why? Because once you have that, you know who is your client, you know who is your consumer, who are most probably going to buy your product, then you start building up your database. Okay, database is not about having a database or data about every Tom, Dick, and Harry in Malaysia. You need to be able to clean up your data. Who is the most from your data? Who are the most probably going to buy your product? Okay, then you do your sales promotion. You promote to these people. You don't to promote to everyone. Why? Because you have limited resources. You have limited resources based on time. You have limited resources based on money. For example, like you wanted to have phone marketing, for example, you wanted to call your consumer. So you don't have the time to call everyone. You just call those prospects which most probably going to buy your product. How do you know that? Based on your data. All right. And then, for example, like you wanted to give, for example, you wanted to email your prospective client. You don't have the time to email to everyone. You may wanted to email to a specific target. So how do you do that? Based on your database. Okay, then database is based on your market segmentation. And then you wanted to do public relations, for example. How are you? You do not have the time to talk to everyone. You do not have the time to have relation with everyone. You have every relation with your target prospect. You have your relation with your target consumer. If you wanted to sponsor an event, you don't have unlimited money to sponsor every event. You need to be very specific. So what kind of event that are you going to sponsor? That is based on your database. That database will be depends on your market segmentation. For example, last time I worked with this one legal firm, and this legal firm received some grant. Okay, some grant from the government. to do advertisement or to do marketing, okay, to expand their operations, their legal operations or legal firm operations in Malaysia and also abroad. And of course, grant, before you can use the grant money, you need to give your plan on how are you going to use the grant money, right? Because it's people's money. It's a grant from the government, from Matrix, for them, from Matrix. And this legal firm, okay, one of the suggestion is to sponsor majlis berkatan dekat kampung dia, somewhere in Johor, okay, somewhere in Melaka. No, not Melaka, Johor Bahru, okay, Johor Bahru. And then the Matrix, okay, ask the correct question. What is the connection between legal firm and you wanted to sponsor majlis berkatan? So that is not relevant to a legal firm. So that is something which is no, this is a waste of resources. Why? Because you are a legal firm, but you wanted to sponsor majlis berkatan. So it's not relevant. It doesn't resonate with the target market. Okay, because that legal firm is doing corporate law. Okay, corporate law. So what is majlis berkatan got to do with corporate law, corporate banking, corporate client? It doesn't have anything to do. So this is where you need to be able to talk about market segmentation. Alright, any question? Ada soalan tentang setakat ni on the database marketing, sales promotion, blah 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 and all that? Tak ada. And then you look at product positioning, because how do you position your product? Okay, because in the previous slide, talk about product positioning is one of the market strategy. How do you position your product? So this is based on your market segmentation just now. Okay, when you know who is your segment, that your target segment, then you try to position your product in the mind of the consumer, the mind of your target consumer. How do you position this? Using advertisement design. Okay, advertisement design. Okay, how do you design your advertisement? So this is where the digital marketing comes into the picture. This is where you have this e-commerce, digital strategies, your web advertisement, your SEO, your social media, your influencer marketing. Okay, but if you look at the arrow, you look at the sequence, okay, you may not be able to come up with your e-commerce strategy or your digital strategy or your SEO, for example, without knowing your market segmentation. Because you look at the sequence, it's all interrelated, yeah? All interrelated, correct? Because you can't come up with your SEO strategy on its own. You cannot have SEO independent from your other from the other segment of your campaign. You cannot come up with your SEO strategy without knowing who is your market segmentation. Okay, so I've been stressing this quite a lot, and this diagram shows you the relations. Why? Because if you look at the sequence, it's all interrelated. You cannot identify who is your influencer. Let's say you wanted to come up with the influencer marketing without knowing who is your market segmentation. Okay, you need, let's say you wanted to embark on influencer marketing. But before you embark on influencer, you wanted to identify who is the influencer without knowing who is your market segmentation. All right, so that is important. Then, apart from digital marketing, you have the alternative marketing. Okay, you have the buzz marketing, staff marketing, guerrilla marketing, product placement, branded entertainment, video games advertisement, in-store marketing. And those are the alternative marketing. Apart from digital, you have the alternative marketings, which is as effective as digital marketing. Depends on your market segmentation. For example, like your video game advertisement, for example. Okay, it's very it's the in thing right now, the trend right now. Why? Because for example, let's say you wanted to target Gen Y, you wanted to target gamers, right? Video game advertisement is quite something which is something new that you may wanted to explore. For example, like I watched this movie, Final Fantasy 15. 15, all right? Final Fantasy 15, for example. It is a cartoon, or it is an animation film based on video games. Okay? But if you watch Final Fantasy 15, somewhere along the line, you will see advertisement about Beats. Beats by Dr. Dre, all right? The headphone. Why? It's not just advertisement. It's just that you see the logo of Beats in one of the scene of that animation movie, and that is branded entertainment. Okay, that is video games advertisement as well. Okay, why? Because Final Fantasy based on video games. Those are the things that I need you to remember. Okay. Any question tak tentang ni? After I conclude, after I summarize what we have learned. Yes.
Okay, kalau apa ni, macam kita salah dalam, macam kita find out yang kita punya ads ni salah, mungkin ada yang tak kena. So kita kena buat balik dari awal daripada product positioning, market segmentation, atau kita tengok balik, analyse balik. Contoh kalau kita analyse balik, kita dapat tahu yang product positioning kita ni ada masalah, kita kena buat daripada product positioning, betulkan product positioning ke, atau kita kena start balik daripada awal?
Well, it depends on apa yang salah. Okay, based on, let's say you are embark on advertisement program or advertisement campaign, right? Then after 1 month, then you see how effective, or after 1 week, for example. Sekarang ni matter of hours. For example, like in 1 or 2 days, you embark on your marketing campaign in social media, it doesn't get any traction, for example. From there, you already know, okay, there's something wrong. Okay, why your marketing campaign doesn't get any traction? Tak jalan. Maksudnya tak mendapat sambutan. So from there, you can already know that there's something wrong. So you need to identify what's wrong. Is it because of the product? Is it because of the message? So of course, yes. When you identify that, of course you need to rethink everything. Okay, you need to rethink what went wrong. And then you need to justify. You need to perbaiki. You need to make good. You need to enhance. You need to able to patch what is wrong with your advertisement. What is wrong with your campaign? Yes, most of the time you need to rethink the whole thing, the whole process. But unlike the first process, whereby you start from the scratch, when you modify your advertisement program, sometimes you already have the platform. You already know the you may not have to redo everything again. You may need to enhance certain sections of your marketing campaign, tweak a little bit. meaning you already have a platform, meaning you just tweak here and there. So it's something which is not as grand as, and not you do not need to start from scratch unless you do a rebranding. Okay, if you, for example, let's say after a while that you see that the problem with your product, the problem with your service is the brand itself. You need to rebrand. Okay, for example, like your current brand associated with something which is negative. Okay, something which is negative. So how do you rebrand your brand? For example, this morning, okay, this is a little bit about politics. This morning, I was driving after I sent my wife to her office. So when I came back, I switched on to BFM. Then there's discussion about politics, Malaysian politics. They're talking about the brand of those political parties, because that political parties are known to be associated with something, for example. So the brand may not that good. Okay, people tend to look at the brand of that political parties in negative way. So how do you rebrand that political parties? So when you wanted to rebrand something, of course, you need to start from scratch. The product positioning, that you need to rethink everything. But after you do the campaign, okay, after you do the campaign, the marketing campaign, then it doesn't give much traction. Yes, you have traction, but not that much. So you need to tweak here and there. Maybe the work or the amount of work is not that as massive as before, whereby you need to start from scratch. Okay, when you need to fine-tune your marketing campaign, it may be tweaking here and there, so that the volume may not be as massive as before. So to answer your question, whether you need to rethink about the product positioning, that, so it depends on the outcome of your marketing campaign. Okay, how bad or how good is your first marketing campaign? All right.
Okay. Satu lagi sir.
Yes.
Brand rebranding dengan brand refresh sama?
Rebranding dengan
Brand refresh.
Okay, brand refresh is about that brand is maybe a bit the product or the brand been in the market for quite some time. Then the consumer who use that brand maybe dia dah lama. Okay, for example, okay, this may not be a good example. Maybe sensitive to some. For example, in America, there's a brand called Budweiser. Budweiser is a alcoholic drink. Okay, so Budweiser been in America since I think for decades. Okay, dah lama. Dia been in America dah lama. But then most of the consumer, okay, for Budweiser, consumer dia semakin tua. Maksudnya golongan muda, youngsters doesn't drink Budweiser anymore. Okay, that is the problem with Budweiser in America, in the US. So Budweiser tried to think on how to get youngsters to drink Budweiser. This is this is one of the brand refreshing. You try to make that brand relevant to the current generation. You try, for example, like when we do this traditional marketing, right? Traditional product. Okay, so how do you refresh that brand to resonate, to be relevant to the youngsters? And then you try to refresh that brand. Rebranding can be an old product, can be a new product, but then something happened to that brand, meaning that brand ada negative connotation with that brand. So how do you rebrand this brand to
Bagi
make
nampak baik lah.
to make people
Okay.
forget about the negative connotation that attached to that old brand. For example, macam for example, macam pagi tadi saya kata about that political parties. Certain political parties ni maybe dia bila orang dengar je nama political party ni, kata oh political party ni untuk orang lama-lama. Dia penuh dengan corruption, for example. Orang golongan muda tak boleh nak masuk. So that is the perception, right? So when we talk about rebranding, then how do you change the perception of people about that brand? Okay, daripada kalau these political parties, for example, the perception is for golongan tua, for golongan elite. So how do you change the perception from that into something new? Oh, this political party is about golongan muda. It's about youngsters. It's about new generations. It's about golongan marhain, about the ordinary people, ordinary citizen. It's not about the elites, not about the riches. It's not about the rich. It's not about the old gods. It's about the massive, about the people. How do you change that perception? That is rebranding. That is rebranding. Okay, and then of course when we talk about branding, like just now, it's about positioning of the product, right? Positioning of the brand. Okay. Okay, good question, Muhammad Afiq Hazim.
Okay, last question je. Apa ni?
Yes.
Kalau katakan kita buat advertising, contoh iklan kita tu, kita still maintain produk sama. Cuma iklan kita dah start macam clutter lah. Macam saya kata tadi, macam orang dah lupakan. So kita boleh kalau kita just keluarkan new iklan, tapi produk still sama.
Well, it depends, Muhammad Afiq. Why? Because what caused the clutter?
Dia macam saya kata tadi, dia bila clutter exist tu, apa ni, most people jadi tune out. So macam dia
Yes, you can come up with the new advertisement, because what we learn here is about a various technique of advertising your product, right? So if you think that, okay, now people are so tuned off with the advertisement, so how do I get the message to the consumer? Maybe branded entertainment. Maybe I put my product in a movie, for example. Maybe I put my product in the video games, for example. Or maybe I sponsored an event. Majlis berkatan. So those are the things. Meaning, how do you you need to be able to think what is the best way to reach your consumer. What is the best way to cut through the clutter? Of course, you need to advertise the same product. Okay, because let's say your task is to advertise that product. You try social media, doesn't work. Orang tak tengok. You try banting, orang ignore. You put in the YouTube, people will ignore that product, that advertisement as well. So now maybe okay now, you know that people may be tuned off because of the clutter. It's not about the product, because of the people doesn't that information doesn't reach the consumer. So how to reach that target consumer? Maybe you change your tactic. Okay, I maybe this consumer, I know that this consumer, most of them are gamers. So you put in your product in the video games. Most of your consumer love will attend some event. So so you sponsor that event. All right. So those are the things that you need to be very, very creative. You need to try again and again how to reach your consumer.
Okay,
The product remain the same. doesn't mean that you need to change your product. Sometimes your product is good, but it's just that the
The
consumer
way
doesn't.
to reach dorang lah.
Itu je.
Okay.
Product okay, tapi marketing ada problem.
Okay.
Alright.
Thank you, sir.
Now, okay, last slide, ethics. Okay, of course, yeah. Okay. Whatever you do, okay, you need to be very ethical, all right? And you need to be very ethical. It started with you. You come up. It started with the product itself. Is it an ethical product? Meaning, you don't come up with a product which be harmful to the consumer, which is harmful to the environment, which harmful to the ecosystem. How do you become more responsive? How do you become more responsible? Of course, okay, your task is to get people to consume, to get people to buy the product or service or ideas, but the aftermath, okay, the aftermath of consumption. For example, like if you're selling food or drinks, for example, is your food and drinks will have a negative impact to your consumer in the long run. For example, like you use a lot of sugars, you load a lot of salt, or any substance which may be harmful to the health of the consumer. Those are the consideration as a marketer. Why? Because marketing is about the end-to-end process. It's starting from the product, coming up with the product up until the disposal of the product. And that is marketing. So as a marketer, you need to be ethical. You need to think on how, not only to yourself, okay, not only to your companies, not only to your client, but there are something which is bigger than us. Okay, which is something which is like the environment, like the public health. It's about society at large. Okay, society. When I talk about society, I'm talking about the society. I talk about the people. I talk about the environment. I'm talking about the ecosystem. The whole thing. Okay, the whole thing. So, this world is not about not only about money. Okay, it's not about profit. It's not about business, but it must be sustainable business. Okay. All right. Now, that sum up the whole syllabus, what we need to cover for your subject. Now let's talk about your exam. Okay, let's talk about your exam. So I believe that I already give you the final draft of the exam schedule, so you're able to strategize your exam. Okay, you strategize, meaning what you wanted to revise first, second, and then how do you put in your strategy. Okay, strategy. Everything we need to have strategy. Now, for your exam, it's going to be 3 hours. Okay, you're doing 3 hours through VLE, virtual learning environment. Okay, talking about virtual learning environment, okay, I need to tell you that apart from the internal student, meaning you guys, okay, you guys are internal student, we also have exchange student from other countries, okay, from other countries. So they have a different time zone. So in your VLE, just like your individual or your midterm exam last time, you will see that internal and external exam, right? So for VLEs, you look at your internal. That's for you. External is for external student, which is exchange student. Why I put it differently? Because they have different time zone. Okay, their day, they are already at midnight in their time zone. So I put that differently. Okay, so when you wanted to answer your final exam, you click into the internal exam, meaning it is for you. Okay, don't click at the external exam. External exam for exchange student which have a different time zone. That's why you see the exam time is different from yours. Okay, so don't get confused. So you answer through internal exam. Okay, internal exam for you, for the local student, for the Malaysian student who are staying in Malaysia. 3 hours, okay, 3 hours through VLE. So if you do not have a good connection, internet connection, what you can do is you switch on your VLE, then you download. Okay, you download the question, you log off from the internet, you answer the question, all right, then you submit your answer through the VLE, meaning you don't have to be 3 hours in that internet. So I know right now during this monsoon season, the internet may not that good. So to be 3 hours for doing your exam, okay, I understand that it may take up a lot of data. Okay, so log in, download the answer, download the question, write the answer in a format. You can use words. You can use for those who are using Mac, you can send me through pages format. You can send through PDF, no problem. All right, and send through VLE within that 3 hours. Okay, you have 3 hours to answer those questions. So questions. There are 2 questions. Okay, question 1 and 2. Okay, question 1 and 2. Each question carries 50 marks. But for one question, okay, there will be sub questions, meaning question number 1 will be 1.1, maybe 5 marks, 1.2, 10 marks, 1.3, 10 marks, you know that. It will be sub question. Why? Because it is not fair to you if I give one question 50 marks. Then it's very hard for you to write the answers. So you look at it give you the opportunity to look at to get marks. Okay, to get marks, it's easier for you to get marks if you have that sub question. And the next question will be that you wanted to ask me is how much you need to write. So how much you need to write? You look at the question. You look at the marks. For example, like it says the 5 marks. So meaning if 5 marks, you don't have to write much. If 10 marks, yes, you need to write a little bit longer. Okay, and then you can also be guided with the question itself. For example, let's say question 1, give the definition of something, 5 marks. So definition, they just ask for the definition. The marks is 5 marks. So you know that you don't have to write like 3 pages long answers. Okay, for 5 marks, maybe like 1 or 2 paragraph should be sufficient for 5 marks. And then sometimes you look at the question. It says that give 5 factors. Okay, give 5 factors of something. Okay, give 5 factors of something. And then you look at the mark, it's 10 marks. Okay, 5 factors, 10 marks. So most probably for 5 factors for 10 marks means one factor is 2 marks. All right. One factor is 2 marks times 5, you got 10 marks. So for one factor, 2 marks, you don't have to write 2 pages to define or to explain about that one factor. Because the most that I can give you is 2 marks. Awak tulis 2 pages ke, awak tulis 5 pages ke, the most I can give you for one factor is 2 marks. So, if one factor is 2 marks, what you need to do is to identify the factor, and then you need to explain in 1 or 2 sentences, and then maybe you give 1 or 2 example. So the most will be, the most is 1 paragraph with 2 or 3 lines of answers. The most, okay, the most for one factor. So please be guided with the question and the marks. You compare the question, because the question will definitely ask you give 5 factors, give 4 factors. Dia tak pernah, dia takkan tanya, jarang dia akan tanya explain about market segmentation. Dia tak, that one is too wide. Explain about market segmentation, 10 marks. Then you may have difficulties in writing answers. Why? Because you do not know the boundaries. How much are you going to write? But they will ask about or example, yeah. Explain 5 methods of segmentize a market. 10 marks. Okay, so if they say explain 5 ways of segmentizing market, meaning market segmentation tu ada 5. Okay, they ask you to explain about 5 cara untuk market segmentation. Then markah dia 10. So you know that you need to come up with the 5 ways of segmentizing your consumer. And then you talk about demographic, and then you talk about psychographic, you talk about lifestyle, blah blah blah. You come up with 5 ways of segmentizing your consumer, and you know it's markah baru 10. So you don't have to talk a lot. Just one psychographic. Meaning you had already identified psychographic, so 1 mark. So psychographic is how do you segmentize consumer based on psychographic. Psychographic is blah 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 blah, another sentence. One way of segmentizing, for example, like lifestyle. Like for example, Red Bull. Lifestyle is Red Bull targeting those who are engaged in extreme sport. That is example. So you got that 2 marks already. You got that 2 marks for one factor, psychographic. Then you move on to demographic. The same thing, the same process. Okay, again, sampai dah 5 until you finish all the 5. Then you got the marks. Okay, so always be guided with the question and the marks. Okay, you look at the question, dia minta berapa factor? 5, 4. Then you look at the markah. Okay, markah 10, 5 factor, 10 markah. So you know that 1 factor is 2 marks. Alright, so no need to, then that give you the guide on how much that you need to write for one factor. Alright. So there will be 2 questions. The question will be, okay, the question will be a case study. Okay, case study, not case study lah. It's a short article. 2 articles, 2 questions, and there will be sub questions preceding each article. So article number 1, okay, for question number 1, article 1, then you read the article, then you answer the question. Okay, and then article number 2, you read and then you answer the question. One way of tackling this, okay, to save time, you don't read the article first, then you try to answer the question. You read the question first, then you read the article. Why is this? Why you need to read the question first before you read the article? Because if you read the article first, then only you look at the question. It may take you some time because you need to reread the article. But if you read the question first, you know what are the questions. You know what are you looking for. So when you read the article, you already know what are you looking for. When you read the article together with trying to find the answers. Okay, from the article. So it is more focused. When you read the question, then only you read the article. The reading of the article, it become more focused. You become more directed. Meaning when you read the article, you already try to find the answers. And then you maybe you wanted to highlight you wanted to jot down what's the answers or the probable answers. So it will be more guided. Rather than you read the article, then you read the question, then you need to read again the article because now you wanted to find the answers in the article. Okay, so how to save time, how to save your time, read the question first, then only you read the article. Okay, so then reading the article in that way become more focused, become more centric. Okay, all right. Ada soalan lain? Ada soalan? Any question?
Sir,
Yes.
for the article, yang sebagi untuk exam tu, untuk dia punya soalan, campur the whole chapter ke ataupun focus on one chapter only, yang macam kita buat case study untuk chapter tu?
Alright. So actually you asking subject topik apa yang keluar, betul tak? Kan? Itulah sebenarnya soalan nampak. Okay. Okay, alright. Fair questions. You go to the slide whereby I put in a diagram of the whole topic. Go to the slide. Go to that slide. Alright. You may want to concentrate on alternative marketing as a whole. Okay, meaning alternative marketing, there's a pecahan, right? There's the subdivision of alternative marketing, right? Okay, you read those things. Alternative marketing, you read from buzz marketing up until to in-store marketing. All right. And then for digital marketing, you may wanted to concentrate on influencer marketing. But, okay, now, although I'm saying that you may wanted to concentrate on this, but do not forget about the rest. Why? Because in IMC is integrated marketing. So you don't forget about market segmentation. You don't forget about database or forget about product positioning. When I said about concentrating, meaning you really look into it. You focus on that. The rest, okay, you may wanted to have a basic graphs of the topic. Maksudnya awak tahu macam tu lah. Maksudnya you know. When I ask you about market segmentation, you know, market segmentation is about psychographic, it's about demographic, it's about consumer behavior or something lah. All right. So you able to tell me what is market segmentation, and you able to psychographic, for example, you able to explain. Fine. Okay. you must be able to have that knowledge. But those influencer marketing and all those alternative marketing, from buzz marketing up into in-store marketing, you really know in and out, the ins and out of those of that subtopic. Okay, meaning kalau nak strategi, if you wanted to strategize, from now on you read everything. Okay, meaning you read about buyer behavior, product positioning, just to refresh. Okay, just to refresh your memories about product positioning, about database, about sponsorship, about public relations, just to refresh. Because after 13 weeks, after 14 weeks, you may have forgotten. So now you just refresh everything. But 3 days or 2 days before the exam, okay, 3 days or 2 days before, or 1 week before the exam, or 5 days before the exam, up until the last minute, okay, the night before the exam, you really focus on those things. Digital marketing, influencer marketing tu sampai and alternative marketing. For digital marketing is influencer marketing, and alternative marketing is from buzz marketing up until in-store marketing. You really focus on that. Okay, the night before. Tu macam last ditch. Okay, so for the night before, you don't have to read everything. Everything is you do it now just to refresh. But towards the end of the exam, then you wanted to really focus. Really focus, then you read those things. Okay, so I'm not saying that you just read whatever I just said just now. You read everything just to refresh. You have a basic grasp of the subject matter. But when you wanted to focus, okay, you focus on those things. On whatever I said just now. Okay, Ani Sophia? Yeah, Ani Sophia? Got it?
Yes, sir.
Right, cool. Okay. Anything else? Tak ada? Tak ada. Okay. If there's no question, then I end the lecture now. All right. I hope I wish for the best for your exam and also for your future. All right. I may see you in consumer behavior class, you know that, because I'm teaching consumer behavior. Just one notice that I wanted to tell those who are going to take my consumer behavior in future, in other semesters, in future semesters. Consumer behavior is an upgrade of this advertisement and promotion. The standard is a bit higher. Okay, my expectation is higher than A&P. All right. All right. Anyway, I'm wishing you all the best for your exam and for your future, in your career, you know that. If I'm not seeing you after this, yeah, that's it. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. I see you around. Okay. Good luck.